Hello and welcome to episode 55 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and our very own big brave boy. You're a big brave boy.
Oh, dentist?
Oh, no, I forgot about that. No, someone who opened some envelopes this week, made some calls and got some shit done. Big brave boy.
Thank you.
Mark. There's a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, big business, global issues, and hard-hitting investigative opinion. We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work is done. I forgot about the dentist. Yeah, you've had a really good week, haven't you?
Got my gangster crown.
Have you? Was it a gold one?
Yeah.
Have a look. Oh, that is gangster.
Yeah. Like
It
a
looks
double
Looks
crown.
like a shark's tail, like a shark's fin.
Yeah. I asked it to. It's basically...
I asked it to.
It's basically an ingot, and they just hammer it in.
Like solid gold.
I've told you about my dentist. Happy boy.
Yeah, would you want to talk about him now?
Why not?
Great. Well, since we're on the subject, Happy Boy, yeah, you have told me that. Do you want to say what his full name is?
His surname is... Because we had this discussion whether it's Mr. or Doctor, but it's Mr., isn't it? So his name is Mr. Yeah, I think, his name is Mr. Nong, and his first name is Happy Boy.
Happy Boy Nong.
And he does a great, if somewhat, I think, unconventional approach to dentistry.
Of a dentist.
Yeah. I'm still dubious. Yeah, it's like you see the certificates, and I'm thinking that says cycling proficiency.
You think he's doing it? He's been doing it long enough. He should be quite proficient at it now, even if he's not trained. You know, one of those.
Yeah.
Is it's kind of you've been with him that long?
I think he knows enough. Yes, he knows enough. I don't think he's got the full range.
Yeah.
But
right. Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So just
no anaesthetics. I was there almost an hour and 3/4. No anaesthetic.
You're a big
just a small mallet.
It literally just
a massive spliff.
Did you bring that? Is that some massive spliff?
Yeah.
Is that just a big piece like gold nugget you got from?
It was my Krugerrand that we referenced before.
Yeah, and he just hammered that in, has he?
Just hammered it in, yeah.
It just looks the shape of a tooth. I mean, it's well done on that.
I was lucky on that. But, as I told you, the only way he could get it to fit, and I'm now realising that this wasn't a good idea, he got out a grinder and he's taken off some of my top teeth.
Oh, so you can,
so that it is like a proper fit when
you close your mouth.
Close my mouth together, because it wouldn't fit otherwise.
You're going to be going off in the scanners in the airport, aren't you?
Coiling my brain. And I've had a brain scan. How brave's that?
Have you had it? You haven't had it, have you?
Yeah.
I thought you'd rang up to get it organised.
Oh, well, let me just introduce you. Well, for all our German listeners, let me introduce you to the National Health Service. Mr. Erie, you're on a urgent... So the letter...
You've been on this for a while.
No.
Hold on.
Step back. Go in second lockdown, have a scan. You have got a hernia. You've got some of your intestines flopping out. We've had this discussion.
Much information.
Yeah.
It's a family show.
So the letter comes through, urgent need for blah, 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 hernia.
Yeah.
So that was 9 months ago.
Uh-huh.
I've been trying to ring up. Basically, I'm not on the waiting list. So I'm on the waiting list to be on a waiting list, because they obviously don't want the waiting list to be bigger than it is.
Oh, no.
So although it's
you
urgent...
probably tip it over the edge.
Yeah. So unfortunately, cardiologists can't see you. You can have a Zoom call, but I need to discuss something. We can do it privately. So have a private Zoom call that happens at the drop of a hat. Brain scan. Well, obviously with COVID and everything's really difficult. They rang me on Wednesday, having paid for the brain scan.
Yeah.
Friday morning, okay.
Oh.
So 48 hours later, went along. The brain scan was £368, and then I said, you do know that I want you to look for my aneurysm because I want it measured and located.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's an additional 198.
Oh, piss off.
And I'm going, but I'm having a brain scan. Yeah, the brain scan we were going to do was just going to look at risk of heart attacks and your blood vessels.
It's like your blood test, isn't it? Here's a blood test, but they only look at the things that they asked to look in your blood.
But surely the brain
rather
scan...
than looking at everything and telling you if there's anything wrong.
But the brain scan surely is...
Your brain.
Yeah. And it's like, what are you going to do? Close your eyes when it comes to the aneurysm unless I give you another 198 quid.
What's that bit there? Oh, no, that's nothing. No, don't know. I'm not telling you what that is.
Yeah, you want to know? I'd recommend you pay, mate. Yeah, so paid another £198 for them to measure my aneurysm.
Jesus Christ.
And got done 48 hours later.
Okay, well, at least you've done it. Everything right?
Yep.
Is your brain all right?
Yep.
Great.
It was like a drum and bass. Right? It was like going to a festival.
Well, they're noisy, those things,
yeah,
aren't they?
But this was like proper vibratory.
What make was the machine? I always like to look at the make.
I don't have my eyes open.
Did you not?
No, because they put a cage over your head, which freaks me out, and then I get claustrophobia.
It's like an
obviously.
MRI. Is it similar to an MRI?
It is an MRI.
Or it is an MRI.
Yeah. So
they had to make a hell of a racket, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's been like all going on.
Yeah. Well, good for you getting your shit done this week.
Thanks.
I spoke to you, didn't I? You said, I've opened an envelope. It's like, well done.
The envelope which we talked... Well, I had it, didn't I? And
the one you brought last week?
Yeah. And I said, I'm not opening it. It wasn't even for me.
Oh.
Did I not
Did
tell
I have
you?
your name on it?
Yeah. It was tax demand from my dad.
Oh.
So probably just as well I did open it.
Yeah. Well, he can't pay it, can he?
No.
So, coming up in this episode...
Be in trouble with the feds.
He is. Or
he will be, won't he? If he doesn't pay it.
Yeah, but you got to pay it. Is it something you got to pay?
Yeah.
Have you got to pay it on his behalf?
Yeah.
Even though he's left this mortal coil. Really? Don't they just wipe debts off for the dead?
I don't know.
I thought when you're dead, that's it. All
bets are off.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
No, they're still asking. I don't know. That's an interesting fact. I wonder whether it would get taken off.
I thought all debts did, but I didn't think it get passed on to anyone. That'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? You're living a good life. You built some money up. Some relatives been pissing around all their life, putting all these credit cards on. And think, oh, by the way, you're the closest living,
Yeah,
you
paid
them. Like, what? That can't be right.
No, okay.
Coming up, catch-up bookmarks, although we've already started. Work-life ballet, we're taking a little look at types of risk and what our attitudes to risk are. Your eyes lit up when I talked about risk.
Yeah.
Talk about your driving. And brain food, touching on, we chatted about, business meeting. I had put a little bit in about heart rates, lifting and walking.
Yeah.
Don't really want to pick that up. We might have a little bit of a rollover from last episode. And in mailbag, I've got an email from Resident Army Captain and some more life hacks. Woo! We've got some more of your Viz ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
They might be observations rather than life hacks. I don't want to piss on your fireworks.
Okay. Should we get into it? Insert positive statement here. Right. Mark, you're looking radiant again. God, I don't know if I can do it.
Oh,
how are you?
I've bought you a present.
Have you?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Oh.
You literally, I bought you a present, just sat there staring at me.
Just letting it sink in. I can't get it with my headphones on. 1 minute.
We've got people to do that for you. Oh, thank you. You bought me some body butter.
You'll now smell like me.
Oh, I didn't want to ask him because I felt it's rude. You can't ask for things, but you're really good at things like that, remembering things and being sweet
sometimes.
And kind. Asshole.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's delish.
You see, and that goes...
I want to lick it. I do.
It's a lovely smell.
Oh, yeah, you do smell like this. Is that when you're glistening, when I see you and you're all kind of like you just stepped out of a body butter
glistening
advert?
Palace. Yeah.
Glistening.
I was just worried because your moisturiser. There's like
you were worried about me.
I was about to say there's a lot of body to cover. That's probably a bit rude.
You're rude. I'm just taller than you. Is that what you meant?
That's what I meant.
I'm definitely fatter than you.
I'm almost 12 stone though, so it's
I'm fat.
Ounces off.
You almost.
I can't
you
quite
still
get
can't
there.
get there.
Yeah. I'm eating loads.
Don't eat that body butter. There's got to be calories in that, right? Biden. I noticed on Instagram he's wearing 2 masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just got off a plane. I don't know where he is. He was greeting someone. I noticed he's got 2 masks on. I haven't seen it anywhere announced. I've just noticed. I thought, really? I don't know.
I didn't.
Is he all right, Biden? I'm a bit worried about him. You've sent me some videos, and it's like he looks like he's struggling.
Did I send you?
I do like him, but it doesn't seem well.
No,
does he?
I don't think he's that well. No,
it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, if you compared, say, his body language and the way he spoke with, say, Obama, there's a big gap between the two in terms of confidence. I think.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say he's not fit for purpose, but it's got to be it's a lot of stress. He's an old man, isn't he? He's quite frail.
I don't think the age has got anything to do with it.
Frailer because he's older. I don't know. We're talking about the sarcopenia stuff last week.
He could be a Hydra, a freshwater Hydra, couldn't he?
Yeah,
that's his hidden superpower.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention. For a while now, we know we talked about ads that come up on Instagram to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
There's one called Muse Meditation. Have you seen that?
I get a lot of mental health and meditation ones every day, so I probably have, yeah.
So this thing is a headband.
Okay.
And it translates your brainwaves into the guiding sounds of weather.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, and these things are 326 quid.
Okay.
The soft one that I think you sleep in is like 416.
Right.
Crikey, I didn't realise that.
Have you seen the whistle?
Yeah, I get a lot of those, for the breathing.
Yeah.
Which is basically just allowing you to breathe out slower.
Yeah.
That's literally all it's doing.
Yes.
but it's gold and it's, costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, it looks gold. So this thing goes on your head, like headphones, but almost the strap goes around your forehead.
Yeah, got that.
And I think you connect it to your apps. It's got Bluetooth and stuff. And then if you are not being mindful, I guess, it will play kind of quite agitated, back to the weather we're talking about agitated weather.
Yeah.
Then if you start to kind of calm or kind of be in a
Okay,
certain
so you can
space,
think-
the weather, the noise will
Calms
become
down.
calmer.
Oh,
That sounds stressful to me.
yeah.
I don't know about you.
Every night's a hurricane, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's gamifying.
Yeah, it is. Gamifying mental health.
And mindfulness, isn't it? Which I'm not quite.
Yeah,
So I'm a little
how
bit
calm
cynical.
can you be?
And there's that guy, right? Obviously works out. Good-looking lad in a bed on his app with this thing strapped to his
that's
head.
20 degrees with a light breeze, isn't it? Well, his weather, his mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks pretty chilled out.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, you don't put that on and look like him. Classic marketing.
Mm.
I mean, you do. You got bigger muscles than him. But I don't know. It just feels a little bit like I just been reading a lot about wearables again now, and just they're trying to bring nature into everything, and it's like. Was it Adam that said quite a lot of podcasts ago, we are nature?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's this idea that we have to go and find it. I think that was his point, wasn't it? It's been. I thought about it. I was on a walk and I thought about Adam. I thought, oh God, he's bang on with that.
Mm.
These Macs aren't nature, but generally, you look at it, nature isn't far away.
No.
And it's free. It doesn't cost 400 quid.
No.
You could just go out and sit on a bench and breathe slowly in and out, and you're on it, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It just feels like the only way. Go back to the kind of the why thing we talked about in the last episode, to find your kind of find your center that we talked about.
Could be spending money on it, downloading it.
Yeah, you have to have it. It has to be on your phone. It has to be a gadget. It has to be something you plug in or stick up your arse
to give it
or
credibility,
something.
rather than just
it's relentless, isn't it? Rather than just not spending. Back to we were talking about it, weren't we? About kind of trying to achieve more, but thinking we need to get more to do it. This is more commercialism. We're buying more stuff, more plastic.
Yes.
Where actually, what we need to do is get rid of all the crap we've got.
Yeah.
And go out and sit in a park.
Yeah.
And breathe.
Yeah. Mindfulness isn't strapping something to your head, is it? So talking of which, this is my latest app.
Is this the one from your course?
Yeah, called Power Flower. I just love the music.
Flower?
I just love the music.
Yeah, go on.
Here's a flower, as you can see. And you grow the petals by doing tasks.
Right.
As you can see, my petals aren't exactly.
You haven't done any tasks yet, but
I've done one.
What have you done?
That one.
Can I hold it to the thing? It sounds nice, that does.
So, one is energy.
Okay.
So it gives me a task, which is to write a poem.
Okay.
And then there's...
Oh, you're right, writing poems. You just don't like reading them out.
Yeah. And then there's tranquility. So I haven't got a tranquility task at the moment because I need to do my poem. There's one on self, and I've scored 20 points on others. And that was the very first task it gave me, is you have to make a phone call.
Oh.
So...
Okay, well done.
So I did.
That music's a little bit stressful.
Do you not like it?
No.
All right.
I find it a little bit anxious for that.
It's a little bit glockenspiely, isn't it?
Yeah, if there's one...
Chime bars. I was thinking on chime bars the other day. Do you remember chime bars?
Well, they kind of are glockenspiels, right? Chime bars?
Just the individual ones. You
The ones that hang down and you just go... What are those?
No. I think this is like
Chime
child
bars.
of the 70s.
Right.
Not dime bars. No,
I was in the 70s just, but I can't remember
yeah,
much of
so
it.
it's almost like a little cylinder, normally blue, with a hole in it,
Yeah.
and then a piece of white metal on top.
On top, yeah.
But like just, you'd have a chime bar.
They were chime bar.
But I heard them in a track the other day.
Similar to glockenspiel.
We
though,
talked
isn't
about
it? The glockenspiel
cowbells,
has
didn't
lots
we?
of them on
Yeah.
top, don't they? Yeah, okay.
And xylophone, I guess, is that sort of family, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, moving on, as you say.
Yeah. Do I need to put a light on?
It's up to you. I'm easy either way,
Okay.
if you'd like to.
We talked about what £1 million looks like in £20 notes.
Yeah.
I was right. The height is a little bit bigger than a double-decker bus.
Hmm.
I looked into a bit more detail, and I looked at 1 million and 1 billion.
Yeah.
It gave me some stats. So 1 million in £20 notes, so crisp, brand new £20 notes, weighs 54.5 kilograms.
54.5 kilograms.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
A single stack of money with 50,000 20s to make a million of new banknotes would be 6.65 meters tall.
Yeah.
Pretty tall, right?
Yeah.
Definitely taller than a bus. And would have a volume of at least 79.27 litres.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is...
Liquid cash.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Now, just to kind of... We've always talked about how the difference between a million and a billions.
Yeah.
When we've done it in years.
Yeah.
So check this one out.
Okay.
For a billion...
Going to be more.
Yeah. So a stack of 20s would weigh 54.5 tons.
Right, and it's 54.5 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course it is. That makes sense. That isn't even clever. I thought that was like the pyramids. But
no,
yeah,
but
that's
like, that is
yeah,
a single stack of money with 50 million
£20 notes.
50 million £20 notes would be 6.65 kilometres tall, 4.1 miles high, compared to 6 metres high.
Yeah.
That is staggering, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's 1,000 times more.
I know it is, Mark.
But
just trying to let the listeners picture this in their head so they can go, oh my God, that's amazing.
Doing it that way is more effective than saying it's 1,000 times more. I get that. The difference between 6 metres and then 6,000 metres.
I'm just providing a little bit
of I get it. I'm in favour
drama.
of it. I'm in favour of it. Yeah.
I'm in favour.
Going back to Nina Fedorsky.
Yeah.
I had another random name.
Look, I'm just going to search your kind of past and
bring
the ball back. Bring the ball back to life.
I think this guy's God bless Nina. I think this guy's dead. So this guy's called Johnny Rutter,
right?
Which is a great name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who I think is probably dead. God bless him. So
sounds like a geezer.
Yeah. He was a teacher at my school when I was 11 or 12, and I don't know why he came into my head, but just did. So I thought I'd share it.
As with every thought, you articulate.
So when I went to the school I went to was split into like a lower school and then an upper school. So I must have been 12 or 13 because I went into the upper school. And on a Monday afternoon...
Sorry, I know how my stories feel to you now. Was it 13? I can't remember. What was it? Did he wear a uniform? I can't really remember. What kind did he wear? A tie? Or a cap? I don't know.
No, believe me, this is nowhere close to your boredom level. So... Even me discussing my age is like light relief from fucking...
This is great. No, I'm just feeling tinkerish.
So, went into the upper school, and Johnny Rutter was a manager in...
Was he in the Sex Pistols?
Rutter. I said Rotter then, didn't I? Now he sounds something like... Now it's like the Bells of Centrinians, isn't it? Johnny Rutter in the sheepskin coat. He'd be the one... Yeah, placing all the bets.
Maybe that should be the name for your book in your memoirs. You have to change some names, don't you? Just call it. Yeah. Sorry.
So Johnny the Rotter. Yeah. So when we went to upper school on a Monday afternoon, you had to do one of three things. You had to go into the cadet force.
Yeah.
So when lessons finished, you had to stay on. You had to do the cadet force. You had to do something that was called social services, which was basically going around to poorly people and taking them a little bit of food or tidying their garden. And then there was another one which was just picking litter, really. But what Johnny did, he liked to keep in touch with the pupils that had gone over. And so every Monday, after you'd done one of those tasks, he would put an invite for 3 or 4 of you to come back to the school and spend an hour chatting with him and letting him know how you were getting on. Don't pull that face.
What? I haven't got a face.
So I got the invite one day that, like, if you'd like to go over with 3 of your mates to see Johnny. And that I know saying this now, and in this day and age and post-Savile, this does seem... I have no
idea what you mean.
But there's no...
This sounds completely innocent.
I'm not casting any aspersions. I'm just telling it how it is. And so received the invite, so marched over in my cadet uniform.
Was that a requirement? Sorry.
Sorry. And I don't know why this came into my mind, except that when you came in, you would take a seat in Johnny's living room and he'd open a bottle of bull's blood wine. And I always remember it was bull's blood, which I think is a Bulgarian red wine.
God
I think so. It might be worth a Google search.
It's all culty to me
now. And then he would pass...
What, go to sacrifice a lamb in front of you?
He would pass round cigars and we would sit there smoking
if
cigars.
This isn't grooming, Mark, I don't know what it is.
It isn't.
I don't know what it is.
It was
How
just catching up, 13.
Just hanging out with a teacher, smoking under
who hasn't? No, but seriously, it wasn't grooming. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was just. It's only now in this day and age where people will go. Ooh,
okay, you just talked and smoked cigars and drank
and
wine?
Got drunk. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
No, it did. Oh, was that it?
Just came to mind. Yeah. Nothing. That's it.
Okay.
There's no punchline.
I don't want to look him up. AI making investments.
Yeah.
This was back in 2019, but while humans remain a big part of the trading equation, AI plays an increasingly significant role. According to a recent study by UK research firm Coalition, electronic trades account for almost 45% of revenues in cash equities trading. And while hedge funds are more reluctant when it comes to automation, many of them use AI-powered analysis to get investment ideas and build portfolios. So it's probably been happening for a couple of years at least. I also looked into the Asda kind of kettle eBay thing, which is basically drop shipping, which a lot of people do.
Yes.
You can obviously do it in eBay, but there are restrictions. So you can't just go and start selling Tesco's and Asda stuff. There's rules to follow within eBay, so you can't just go and start selling Asda kettles. But
I think they were bypassing a lot of those.
Yeah, there's this one guy I saw, you probably saw the same article, he's making about 30 grand a month, not even touching any stock.
Yeah.
Literally just making...
And no startup money needed or anything.
Absolutely nothing. You sent me a tweet this morning.
Well, I've got a bit of advice for you as well. Do this first, and I've got a bit of advice. Carry on.
Less of the lip, sunshine.
Yeah. Get into order, you slag. We always go cockney, don't we?
You sent me a tweet, but now the tweet's unavailable.
Yeah, you know why that is?
Because you sent it me, and they're all watching us.
Yes, World Economic Forum.
Yeah, you sent it me, and now it's gone.
Hell. Yeah, I know.
It was a fairly innocuous tweet.
I know. Don't get me started. So
no, I am going to get it. This is literally why I'm asking you.
Next week...
We haven't got long. But
next week, I'm doing a 12-minute monologue.
On the World Economic Forum?
On the fucking world. Seriously.
All right, put it in your book, in your little...
Well, no, I know this. I've started it already.
Well, just entertain me.
What am I?
Have you still got green ink? I mean, there's something seriously wrong with you.
On this page, I've got KFC 11. There's my note.
I'm going to buy you a
So
I'm going to take another picture.
World conspiracy.
Bloody book. We need some content anyway, don't we?
No, this is going to be... This is going to be... This is going to be... This is going to be a 12-minute serious monologue.
Nothing is ever 12 minutes with you.
No, I'm going to time it. This is 100%. I've got to the point of thinking...
Don't give it away now.
No.
Is this the preamble? Is this the teaser trailer?
Yeah, this is the clickbait. So...
Well, it's good because I can't talk about that thing now. It's bloody disappeared.
Shall I tell you what it was? Can you remember what it was? Did you watch
what it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically about how... Sorry, do you want to...
No, you can say what it was. I know it's interesting it's been taken down there.
It was only about how quiet the world had become during the pandemic.
Yeah, good news.
But when you think about who makes up the forum, which is pretty much all the biggest corporations in the world, oil, gas, fossil fuels, tech, everyone, that's kind of a weird thing to say. It's like, how peaceful has it been?
Yeah.
But when you start to read the article, it was about they've been able to take measurements
of little
earthquakes. Seismic activity.
Seismic activity, yeah.
And because it's been so quiet, they've been able to take measurement. Because a lot
of
the
people... scale of 2.5 million deaths and
it's
economic collapse, someone going, we found a couple of little earthquakes.
Yeah, I mean, some of the responses to the tweets were like, what is the point of this?
Yeah.
Which is a good point. Everyone's just like, what are they doing? What are they saying?
Yeah.
Because it goes against what you think they stand for.
Yes.
But it's not even...
It's a very strange
But it's not even saying something that's countering what everyone thinks of them.
I'm literally getting World Economic Forum in every social media platform I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm getting videos, I'm getting Tony Blair, I'm getting Daily Telegraph.
Did you want to tease your monologue?
The monologue is going to be this, and this is big. The whole thing around conspiracy theories... It's this bit about it's like you said a couple of times ago, I shouldn't be paranoid, everyone does hate me. It's based on that. There is just so much going on at the moment and the pace is so great that I just want to put it out exactly as I see it, right or wrong, and just put it out.
There's no right or wrong?
No, there isn't. Well, there is. That's an interview with Alan Partridge. He's interviewing a child genius, and I think he says you are totally unique. And the child genius goes, there can be no gradation of uniqueness. One is either unique or is not. And he said, I can't remember the punchline. Fuck off. Anyway, carry on.
Also, what I saw this morning, we both like Russell Brand, don't we?
As part of my...
is he up there with your Jamila Jamils and others?
Ricky Gervais. It's people that I'm growing to love.
Okay, cool.
I think they're maturing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yes, I do. The video, you showed me that.
Did I send it to you?
YouTube, yeah.
So he put out a film yesterday just on how Bill Gates is now the largest farmland owner in the United States.
Which I mentioned several weeks ago.
Hence I'm picking up threads.
Yeah,
It's not totally random, Mark.
Okay, thanks.
Fuck's sake, give me some credit. As he now owns 242,000 acres of farmland.
Yeah.
It's pertinent to say
Yes.
farmland and not
Yes.
just land in general.
Yes, totally.
And looked up the in the US Land Report in the top 100. Bill and Melinda Gates are now number 49 in the top 100 Land Report.
Yes.
Guess who's at number 25?
Zuckerberg. Bernard Matthews.
No, this is actually just land. Actually, this is not actually farmland. Bezos,
Okay.
of the Jeff variety.
Yeah.
So he does this link, which I'll put up in the notes, which is it's entitled The Great Reset. You've just been talking about the World Economic Forum. That wasn't their title originally, was it? The Great Reset. They adopted that themselves.
Yeah.
But basically, it's Bill Gates too powerful. And it's really good. There's some interesting points around the use of tech in farming within India and Africa, kind of developing countries amongst, as well as India and Africa. I don't think you can call them developing countries anymore. So farming within India and Africa as examples of how digital is arguably a veil for more sinister uses, such as data mining on farming behaviour and things like that. They've drawn some comparisons. Again, you can go and look at and see this film for yourself. But Bill Gates has and others have supplied farmers with tech.
Yes.
That they may not ordinarily have.
Yes.
Been gathering data, and then in some instances allegedly have even sold that data back to the farmers. So then you go, are you trying to help, or are you just gaining more information on them to either profit from them, or to profit and get lots of information and then do without them at some point, because they're going big into mechanized farming, AI, machine learning, all that kind of stuff.
And his call for beef not to be eaten in the more developed, okay, our terminology might be, but the bigger, richer countries shouldn't be eting beef anymore. There's lots of this will be in my monologue.
It's very questionable.
Might be 13 minutes, but there's a lot of Bill Gates.
We've got to crack on, Mark.
No, lighter note.
What?
No, I'm not prefer. So this is completely random, unlike me, I know, but this was from.
We finish off with some kind of
light-hearted.
We haven't totally finished.
No.
Just want to round off bookmarks with a little bit of light relief.
I don't actually. I'm going to find the link for this because I know you'll ask. But I know this is an old book. And this particular chapter, or the book, is called Spells, Charms and Incantations.
Oh, I like it.
I will try and find where it comes from, but I'm not sure if I will. And so there's a few things just on this one page that this person has said quite interesting. So these are things you can do. So I know this should come in life hacks, but we're just going to put it here. Or you can ask me to repeat it again.
We shoot from the hip.
Yeah. Take a shoe that the woman you love has worn, fill it with rue, don't know what that is, R-U-E, and hang it over your bed to make her love you. Well, there's a little tip. To win a maiden's love, get a hair and a pin off her unperceived, twist the hair around the pin, and then throw them backwards into a river.
Is this voodoo?
No, spells, charms and incantations. So those are the
voodoo.
Two. The first two you look...
that voodoo that you do so well.
Where's that from? I don't care. So the third one, which is probably the best one here, you may fascinate a woman by giving her a piece of cheese. That's probably the easiest of the three, isn't it?
What to eat? Or rue is a herb.
Okay. So
this is basically voodoo. I'm not doing any of that. Black magic. No, I'm not mucking around with that.
Okay.
I'll have some cheese. I like a bit of cheese.
How do you hide a small horse with cheese? Mascarpone.
Cue music. Right, work-life ballet. Risk. I said we're going to talk about risk, and your eyes lit up. Why? Why?
You know.
No, I think there's a little bit of talking about... This has kind of come out. I mean, we had lots more to talk about on the why and the science behind kind of wanting more and stuff like that. And also one of my life hacks was about protecting the downside.
Yeah.
So I just kind of thought, again, trying to pack it all in. We could probably need a couple of episodes for each one, but I just thought we'd kind of have a little look at risk because it felt like we're on that kind of
tip.
Amen. Found kind of 3 types of risk that people have identified. Been doing some research. So one is risk aversion. This is a type of attitude where an individual inclines towards certain as opposed to uncertain events. An average person is usually like this. A risk aversion type will leave a good chance of more profits on the table and look for more certain scenarios instead, thereby settling for less than would be expected as a result. The second one is risk seeking. This is a type of attitude or behavior where a person gravitates towards uncertain activities in place of more certain ones. You display a risk-seeking attitude when you are ready to pay a penalty to take a risk. Yeah, people are more risk-seeking in poor conditions and risk-averse in wealthy positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've got £1 million, then you're not going to be a drugs mule, but you might invest in the FT100.
And then the third one is risk neutral. This type of individual possesses an indifferent attitude towards risk. These individuals usually display their character when decisions are based exclusively on expected monetary value. So different types of risk. I guess when I was kind of talking about the downside, you know, which Richard Branson talks a lot about, who I mentioned. So his one example was when he had Virgin Records, he was looking to start up Virgin Atlantic and he needed to buy a jumbo jet.
Yeah.
They were pushed to find the funds for this jumbo jet. I think it was a second-hand one when I think that's how they first started. Yeah. So he went to all his colleagues in Virgin Records and said, look, the worst that can happen here is we're going to lose 6 months profits if this goes south. And because he put it like that, everyone went, okay, we know the risk.
Yeah.
We could still survive if that happened. Yeah. So that's a great, one of the perfect examples, and one that he uses all the time of how to protect his downsides. So he went and did it, and of course it paid off, so it worked. So you could argue there's a risk, but everyone understood the permutations of that risk, how everyone's going to be affected, and then went, so it's that screw it, let's do it attitude that he's got. So I would say that isn't that risky, personally, and I kind of feel that I'm probably in that area where I go, okay, you might lose something, but what you might gain is going to be, it's exponential.
It's interesting that you've gravitated straight away. This is the difference between you and I. You've gravitated straight away to looking risk in a business setting.
Yeah.
And you know that you and I have had a few business ups and downs over the last few weeks talking about various things. And that risk has come into that, hasn't it? In terms of looking at risk of investments and things. But that didn't even cross my mind, which I guess is, so I'm thinking about personal risk. As soon as you said the word risk, the reason my eyes lit up was like thinking about times of how far I would risk myself personally, I guess.
Okay, I see what you mean.
But I didn't even think of business, but it's the most obvious. As soon as you're saying that now,
well, it depends what you're doing, because I guess in business, unless you're kind of cleaning windows of skyscrapers, the risk is very different, isn't it? In terms of your physical risk. I guess the business I've been in, or even any kind of property stuff, generally is money. The rest of it's attitude. It's not a physical risk. No one's going to be harmed, physically harmed, unless you do someone over and they come around and break your legs with a baseball bat. But generally, it's about there's financial risk, I guess, mostly. Other than that, it's reputational, emotional, and really they're not kind of, again, that's the reality thing. They're not real. They don't feel like real things. We could argue money's a construct as well. But I found something about introverts and risk, which I thought was pertinent to us. Again, like most things, there's kind of two sides to this. So one example here is brain differences may also help explain why introverts are less likely to engage in risky behavior. And this is coming from the idea that introverts don't take any risks. Research has shown that extroverts' brains light up more when gambling, for example, and that extroverted children tend to overeat more than their introverted peers. Shigeru Oshii, PhD, professor of psychology at the University of Virginia, from a study in 2015, says introverts are, on average, less risk-taking than extroverts, a quality, he says, can protect against potentially harmful behavior. Extroverts are more prone to impulse-related distress. They tend to have more externalizing disorders, while introverts tend to internalize things. And then I found an article which is slightly different view. So one theory of risk-taking is that extroverts may be more likely to take risks because they are more comfortable engaging with the world around them. And there's, I think, 3 studies here that find it where extroverts may have advantages over introverts in risk-taking. I won't go into them, but basically it pretty much comes down to calculated risks. There's risks and then there's calculated risks. And then you could argue, it's easy to kind of say that introverts probably take more calculated risks because they're probably a bit more practical. You'd probably sitting there going, I don't actually think that's true. If you're kind of more in on yourself, you're probably more likely to kind of think about it, be more considered, that kind of practical, analytical thinking, and where extroverts kind of probably go wildly and just go off but I don't think that's always the case. Like everything of these, it might be the norm, might be the majority, but I don't think you can categorically say an introvert is less risk, risk averse or more risk averse than an extrovert. But there's lots of different ideas as to why, and there's studies that have happened on kind of children and who've shown kind of extrovert kind of qualities and have taken more risks and learned more. So there's kind of almost you can potentially take on more things and learn more things, experience more things, rather than just introverts aren't hermits and live in a cave, but you're less likely to engage with others, I guess, less likely to be more curious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can see it from that point of view, that if someone is more out there in some ways, if you're going to be in more circumstances because of your lifestyle or your attitude or your characteristics, you're going to force yourself. I think my attitude to risk, because I almost actively encourage risk, is I'm certain is a reaction to the restrictions of my childhood. And
Yeah.
just the fact that it was so, so controlled and so ordered, and so there was nothing out of place, that I think it's like, and quite often you get this, that don't you, that kids are just going to either
go
follow
the other way
or go the other way. And I even do things now that are just nonsensical, take risks that don't even seem to have any particular advantage to me or to others. So I'll quite often walk with my shoelaces undone. There is nothing to be gained from that.
Yeah.
Other than the slightest rebellion, but it's hardly anarchy in the UK, is it?
Yeah.
But it does have an inherent risk. So I think sometimes it can be, your attitude to risk can either be, and I think.
But you've also, I think, got a balance of both. You're just talking about kind of our recent kind of dealings on stuff. You've been very
risk seeking,
So there's elements to you where risk seeking, but also I've seen quite a lot of risk averse. Now that sounds contradictory. I think you can be both. I think the risk averse in you has kind of looked at stuff and gone, hold on a minute, let's just check. Again, protecting the downside. Let's just look at these things.
Yeah.
Because these might trip us up further down the line, for example. Someone who was risk seeking would go, bah, fuck it, let's do it. So there's an element of, to do this thing as a whole, you could argue has many risks.
Mm-hmm.
But there's certain elements of it you've gone, hold on, now I need to go away, and like we've done, haven't we? We've gone away and go, let's go away, have 24 hours and we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
That is sensible and pragmatic and actually risk averse, isn't it? It's not just, let's do it and just kind of, lads.
But the interesting thing is so
there's been a nice balance of the two.
Yeah, but that isn't my typical character. People that have known me for a period of time wouldn't go that I'd be the sensible. No, let's just think. But
you pulled me up on a few things where I've kind of gone, and I go, no, actually that is a good. But we've been I've been risky and risk seek and risk averse in slightly different ways. I think they've been complementary to each other.
They have, but the reason I've been there is around self-preservation, but not from a risk. It's from preserving. It's one of the things that's said on the course.
Well, preserving you is still kind of.
Yeah, it is. It's preserving things.
Because not preserving is a risk. So putting yourself at risk is not preserving yourself. It's not self-preservation,
that's a good point.
So it's probably semantics here, but I think I don't think you're quite that. I don't think you're one way. I don't think you're like,
I think the preservation.
You're not going to have it or with a car on opposite lock, maybe or around the little roundabout. You're not all the way home. You're not like out and out risky. I would say you have risky tendencies. But I also think you're quite grounded and quite analytical.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. This is what I've seen. You need to do your Myers-Briggs. You need to settle on one.
Well, they got it wrong first time, didn't they? I'll do it again. I'll do that this week.
I think if you can find balance with another person or find balance within yourself, I think that is a really, really kind of healthy place to be.
When I said about doing my monologue, one of the reasons I want to do it is that I think there has been a emotional sea change that has made people withdraw into safety as the natural.
As a default.
Yeah, as their natural default. And did I send you the video of the guy with the lint roller outside the department store? So he set that up as a prank in America.
So who's checking? So these people coming to the front of what, a supermarket or a shop?
No, it was a big department store.
And he did that almost like you were getting.
He didn't actually speak to them.
Almost like you were getting patted down of security. So he kind of raised his arms, didn't he? And people put their arms up.
Yeah,
and then he'd get the lint roller
over there. And because of the pandemic, that wasn't questioned, and I think
people just did it.
Yeah, and I've seen one or two other things that said it would be an interesting social experiment if someone said yellow masks are better than blue.
Yeah,
and what I feel at the moment is that safety is becoming such a default that questioning is now seen as unsafe.
Yeah,
which is why I want to do this monologue, because what I want to say is, for example,
it's not worth being risk-seeking, i.e. questioning authority, questioning the line.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Regardless. So
back to the why again. Why am I doing? Because that is risky, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you might not question it, even if you're a kind of a risk-seeking person. You might just go, actually, I'm worried about that. Fear, risk. It's all the things we've been talking about. Whys, all those things, isn't it? Actually.
But I think the way the world's gone is that people will now go into their shells or are going into their shells, whereas the questioning, I mean, one of the questions... So
we're becoming risk averse.
We're becoming risk averse.
Or even all those small things as well as the big existential.
And then
questions.
when we are risk averse, what we do is we grab the most safe, reliable option, and that's the company line, the government line, the mainstream media line, because that's what we're fed. And so what happens is that you are then seen more and more as a rebel, as a questioner, as like, why can't you just do it? Vaccine passports, why are you even, this will save our future. Why are you even questioning? And you're going, well, because when this has happened in history in the past and people have had to wear a sticker or be identified as X, Y, and Z, it has greater ramifications than stopping the flu. If you do it on that level. There it is a thing about civil liberties. There is a bit about, someone was saying the other day, which I thought was really interesting, a government had said about it, was saying, if we bring in the vaccine passport because Saga are bringing it on for their cruises. And you sort of think, well, everyone who goes on the Saga cruise will have been vaccinated by probably in about the next 3 or 4 weeks.
In terms of the demographic.
And
right?
in some ways, you can sort of go, that makes sense.
And also you could go, well, they're all on a big tin boat.
Yeah.
And all squashed in together.
Yeah.
On one side, but the other side, you can go, well, what's the difference between that and a nightclub?
Yes. Yeah.
And then where are we then?
But someone was saying about foreign travel, if you've got, a 20-year-old that isn't going to be vaccinated till November and go, well, actually, you can go to Greece, but it won't be till next year because of this vaccine passport. There's, or you were pregnant and therefore you couldn't have had, the whole host of other things in terms of civil liberties. It could even get to the point of going, you cannot go out to any social thing. And you speak to a 20-year-old and go, I'm sure you don't mind. Your grand's gone on holiday to Greece, but you can't. And if you do go on holiday in this country, you can't go to a nightclub or a pub. Do you know what I mean? If you take it to its natural conclusion, it becomes, the safety thing becomes such a default. Like, why risk it for everybody? Just stop moaning about vaccine passport. Just do as you're told. But then when you go, but there is another side to this story. And someone said, which I thought was a great thing on Twitter, they were saying, the Prime Minister said this has got to be based on data, not dates. It's got to be based on science. And what I can't understand is why there hasn't been every month, every couple of weeks, a debate about all these massive things that everyone's talking about. Why the BBC haven't got 8 experts in a room discussing both sides of every single story. And there hasn't been. And you think that would be such an interesting thing. So instead of getting all of our news off Twitter or TikTok, you get 4 people on each side of one motion. Almost like the sort of Oxford Debating Society.
No, you're right.
I'd love to listen to it because I think it might change my mind on some things. It might cement some thoughts, but why hasn't there been any, intellectual discussion?
We're on this, the Russell Brand clip I mentioned I just mentioned it. There's a clip from Al Jazeera News, and they got an expert giving an opinion. You're like, I was properly taken aback by it, and I just thought, you never hear anything like that.
No.
I just thought maybe I'm just going to try and watch Al Jazeera for the next week and see how compare and contrast. Honestly, you would never see it on BBC.
No.
You think, why wouldn't you? The kind of
that's the question. Why
impartiality. It's just like, I had thought about risk being quite small and big things, but throw it into our tag cloud, risk and fear, and imbalance, lack of discussion, and everything kind of comes together, doesn't it? Right, I've got to move on. This is something we didn't have time to put in last episode when we were talking about why we want more. This is an article by Olivia Goldhill 4 years ago. She says, what's the sign of a life well lived? If you were to judge by LinkedIn resumes alone, you might be impressed by prestigious job titles and accolades, but in person, the importance of these formal achievements quickly fades away. Regardless of career success, there can be something very dispiriting, almost lifeless about someone who moves without strife through the ranks of their law firm. Nobody's deepest yearning is to be a decently salaried professional whose only goal is to get a table at a trendy restaurant. Whether it's striving for a new job or more meaningful relationships or personal enlightenment, we need to actively want something more in order to live well. In fact, neuroscience shows that the act of seeking itself, rather than the goals we realize, is key to satisfaction, as in seeking itself. I don't know if that was clear in my intonation. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp argues that of 7 core instincts in the human brain, anger, fear, panic, grief, maternal care, pleasure, lust, play, and seeking is the most important, All mammals have this seeking system, wherein dopamine, a transmitter linked to reward and pleasure, is also involved in coordinating planning activities. This means animals are rewarded for exploring their surroundings and seeking new information for survival. It can also explain why, if rats are given access to a lever that causes them to receive an electric shock, they will repeatedly electrocute themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, because we were talking about almost why we want to be curious and why we want to know more and have more, and they're not necessarily they're not necessarily always possessions, tangible things. They can be emotional things as well, can't they? Which I think that is. Panksepp notes in his book Effective Neuroscience that rats do not seem to find electrocution pleasurable. He says self-stimulating animals look excessively excited, even crazed, when they worked for this kind of stimulation, he writes. Instead of being driven by any reward, he argues, the rats were motivated by the need to seek itself.
The reward was seeking, yes, an action.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it's a verb, yeah.
Okay. The human desire to seek can help make sense of studies showing that achieving major goals or even winning the lottery doesn't cause long-term changes in happiness, but our drive to look ahead needn't cause a permanent state of dissatisfaction, as seeking itself is a fulfilling activity. Evan Thompson, a philosophy professor at the University of British Columbia, says that the entire field of philosophy can be seen as the expression of this seeking impulse. Rather than coming up with a philosophical answer and then resting, content with a solution, Thompson says many philosophers would say the quest is an end in itself.
That fits very much with the sort of cliches you hear about it's, the journey, not the destination, or as much the journey as the destination.
Yeah.
Which I suppose it is.
Because I talked about on here about how the process of this is my kind of driver.
Yes.
The ultimate. I mean, we do have a why, don't we? We talked about that, and we do have that as a solid thing about. We talk about it at the beginning of every episode, don't we? So that's sorted. But it's all the effort and everything else that goes into this. I sometimes go, why? Why? Because it take. But then you kind of go, well, actually, I kind of like the process and like the exploration. I like learning all this stuff, even the stuff I don't really understand.
Yeah.
It just keeps me going because we talked about it before in terms of my nature. That it I do want more. I want to learn more. I want to kind of find out more about things, and it is exhausting, and I do exhaust myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I like to think I think I've talked about it before. I get suspicious of people who don't. I've definitely talked about that before when we talked about setting bars and expectations and things. And it's just something that I have. And you're kind of like that as well, aren't you? You kind of. Yeah, but you do more of which I've kind of
the deeper dive.
Yeah, I've definitely kind of picked up on that and started to do a bit more of that off the back of what you do. But
I mean, one of the things I was going to mention then, which is sort of linked to this, didn't exactly, but it is linked quite well, is that I'm just thinking of a client who I worked with before this lockdown, and we were having a discussion in terms that there was a number of factors why she sort of had time travelled ahead and knew that she was vulnerable. Firstly, there was the vulnerability that another lockdown was about to happen, which means that training would finish. There was the vulnerability about it being winter and the lack of sunlight, which is something that's very important to her. The lack of ability of being able to walk every night because it was going to be dark and she was worried and blah, blah, blah. And we struggled a little bit to sort of find that sort of hook to put her happiness on because all the markers were like the next few months are going to be tough.
Yeah.
And what we did was, this was, as I say, between lockdowns, was that we put in a date to introduce anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
So she made a booking. I think this was towards the end. I can't remember where it was on the lockdowns. It isn't important, but it was
this a carrot.
So the carrot was, on this date, I am now going to take 2 nights away and go to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And what happened is it made me think about what you said. It was the process that once that date was in place, it was going on the internet instead of looking at COVID news. It was like looking where's still open and where can I book and what hotel can I go to.
Yeah, and you could also go, well, what's it really doing? Is it really moving anything forward? Really?
Well,
you could almost go to anything. What's the point of anything? Yeah. But we need that deep down in our soul. We need something to look. We've talked about this, haven't we? The kind of anticipation, looking forward to something, and I'm sure we have in one of our pods.
Yeah, and the point I was going to make on this is that this particular person, this worked really well.
Reward, isn't it? Which I think we've just kind of talked about it. Although the electrocution was a bit, but it was a stimulus.
Yeah, but the anticipation, the seeking of the holiday and the information and the booking and all that was as much as important as the going away because it gave a sense of purpose. The point I was going to make was this whole thing on June the 21st, I think, is a very, very worrying situation.
I mean, the memes have been hilarious, haven't they?
They have been hilarious.
But
everyone is basically on going to a club or getting drunk.
I was thinking about this morning. The memes are funny, and then I had that kind of, that's literally what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But the mental health aspect
and
of
we
June
all know.
the 21st, the call now is for it to be, there's a petition for it to be a bank holiday. So if you look at it...
You can just see what's going on. You can, which will bring me to what I think we're going to cover in the next episode. But
right.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at it from, not necessarily from my perspective, but from people that I know, thinking you are going to get an avalanche of, you will be happy on June the 21st. You will now be free. You will now be able to do all the things you've been waiting to do. And there's going to be millions of people in this country who perhaps don't have the financial resources anymore because they've lost their job.
Yeah, right.
So very much the stuff on social media is this great. You can go to festivals, you can get drunk, you can go on holiday. There's going to be millions of people who will be going to a food bank on June the 21st. They won't be going to festivals. So the social media aspect then is this is aspirational. This is what we're going to do. But for a growing number of people, it's going to be an impossibility.
Yeah.
So that just makes your position worse because everybody else is
the FOMO stuff we talked about last episode. Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is that it feels a little bit like the New Year's Eve, and it feels like the day after you've passed your exams.
Yeah.
Is that the expectation becomes
it's being
unrealistic.
Built. The frenzy's like there already, isn't it? It's not it's not like it's building. It was almost an instant frenzy, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the number of training packages from PTs at the moment
really?
about countdown, it's 47 days. Here's your 47-day training program.
Get your beach body. But,
yes, exactly. Now we've got to date, and it's everything we've been talking against in a way. It's like you've had a year to get a beach body. True. Now you've been given a date.
Yeah.
So what then happens? Because it's unlikely if you've done no exercise for the whole of lockdown and you enter a 6-week program now that you will have a beach body. So again, it's the whole anticipation. Is that the right thing you should be doing? Going balls out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a whole
I
host of things.
I understand the release nature of the the kind of the caged animal, the release of the cage. I kind of get that, but it's like, oh, come on.
But it's
we have been allowed to go outside. This, you know what I mean?
It's going back to this happiness thing. It's basically saying on June the 21st, you will be happy because everything is going to be given back to you. It's like when you've been grounded as a kid and you're allowed to go out down the park and drink cider again. It isn't going to be like that. For a vast number of people, it's going to be trauma, sadness. They're going to have people not including them because they've lost their friendships.
Yeah, right.
There's going to be people with mental health problems that don't want to leave the house, who are going to get invited to things and going,
absolutely right.
I physically can't move.
Yeah.
But none of that's being looked after. None of that's, there's no, when we said look ahead and think what's going to be happening, there's nothing being put in place to protect the mental health of people.
No. You think about all we've heard for the last 12 months is the pressure on the NHS.
Yeah.
How many people are going to end up in A&E?
Yeah.
On the 21st or 22nd of June?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Realistically, the police are going to go back to literally picking people off the floor, aren't they?
Yeah.
Picking them out of bushes.
But I'm thinking of the mental health from June the 21st onwards. There's people going to be... But
that isn't just going to be... there's going to be people going out on a bender. There's those. But of course, there's between now and that time, the anxiety that's going to be happening between...
Yeah.
The anxiety that's just been happening.
Yeah.
And then from there and beyond, it's all been totally underestimated, hasn't it?
Yeah. And I notice, I know on Twitter at the moment, I'm getting a lot of adverts that, and I mentioned this a week ago, I think, the government is starting putting out things again about, it might be good if you lose a few pounds. And it was some of the things it said, and I know they were looking at baby steps. One of them was, do you know that even 1 minute of brisk walking is a form of exercise? And I'm sort of thinking, I don't know if that takes us anywhere. Maybe discuss it in a little bit more detail. I think
it says a lot. Doesn't it?
That it's considered.
No, exactly. I think it says a lot of what you think. If you're writing that, what do you think you're talking to? What do you think of the you know what I mean? The position of a society where you're talking that you are saying that message to.
Yeah, that 1 minute is.
Yeah,
or put it in the
you're
context
basically saying that nobody does anything. Everybody's sat on their arse.
Yeah.
And 1 minute of brisk exercise or walking, for some, of course, is difficult if they're immobile. But I think it says more about where we're at.
But what I mean, it's very sort of junior school advice. It's almost lowest common denominator.
But it's also making apathy and lethargy a completely acceptable state to be in when you're talking about public health, which it isn't. That's not going to help public health, is it?
No.
Everyone sat around eating badly, not looking after themselves mentally, physically,
But
etc.
that hasn't been handled in the whole of
No, of course it
lockdown,
hasn't,
and the
no.
whole link between obesity and death
There's
should be talked about every day.
There's bits of it coming up, but no one's quite grabbed it.
Nobody wants to grab it because they don't feel
Terrified.
comfortable
No, you're right.
suggesting that if you're obese, you're more likely to die. It's a sensitive subject, and it has got to be handled properly. But ignoring it isn't the way to handle it.
This last paragraph might bring a little bit together.
Yeah.
The innate human desire to seek means that we can never truly feel that every desire and wish has been met. There will never be an end to the to-do list, future goals and plans, the things we want to achieve and see. But the fact that we don't have everything we want is exactly what makes life so fulfilling.
Yeah, you're never going to be there, but as long as you're close enough.
Moving on.
It's your new mantra.
What's that? Moving on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did say we were going to be more concise, didn't we?
Yeah. So I got a little email from my resident army captain.
Yeah, I think I saw this morning.
No, he sent that to you.
Oh, did he?
That was just for you.
All right. I would have replied then.
Resident army captain emailed just after episode 52. Say, morning chaps. Love your Mars bar quip. Even though Mark brutally dismissed it. About normal. No, you made a joke about a Mars bar rapper.
Yeah.
Then I made an actual Mars bar joke.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity and perseverance meeting in the bar.
Okay, yeah.
Not even a flicker from you. He said, did you know Mars is actually a moon of Saturn?
No.
He doesn't care. Put that in your pipes and smoke it, he said. Thanks for the ad break music. Meant I could pop out and stretch my sourdough. I'm not sure whether that's a euphemism. There we are. Incredibly middle class resident army captain. So, life hacks. You got your Viz annual at the ready. First life hack, set up an eBay account, write a script, and sell Asda kettles.
Yeah.
No, that's not a real one. My first one's called Pizza Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Little play on word then, do you like that?
Yeah.
So if you're driving, picture this is your phrase. Picture this, you're driving to collect your delicious Domino's Meteor pizza.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe a side order of strippers. You're not probably a chicken stripper man, are you?
I don't think I've ever had a takeaway delivered in my life. What?
I can't wait for June 21st. We're going to have a party.
We're not.
Yes, we are.
We're not.
Me and you round here watching football, eating Meteors. What do you reckon?
No.
You don't want to?
I'll stay in and be miserable.
Fucking hell.
Do Insta stories of...
Honestly, we're going to have a party, right?
Yeah.
You're invited, just me and you. Okay? Football, we'll pick a game. You're really not bothered, are you?
Yeah. No, carry on, I'm listening.
Would you like to come to a party with me?
On the 21st?
No, just...
This
is difficult.
This is going to be my summer festival,
it's like pulling a gold tooth out, right? So you're driving to get your Domino's, right? Yeah. If you're lucky enough to have heated seats, I think we've done well enough for ourselves that we've got that in our cars. On the passenger one, rank that up to the highest one, right? Yeah. In preparation for when you come back. So you go and get your pizzas.
Yeah.
You come out with a nice hot, piping hot pizza.
Put it on 3 lights.
3 lights, I've got a 3, which is normally too hot for your bottom.
Yeah.
It feels like your bottom's going to heel over.
Yeah.
And you put that on your seat.
Yeah.
And then you keep them warm on the way home. So when you get home, everyone's got piping hot pizza.
Yeah. That's
good,
okay.
Right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Cassette case. I've got this one. You noticed this as you came in today. Take an old cassette case. Remember those from the 80s?
Yep.
Open it up, and because if you fold it and it kind of stays open, doesn't it? If you fold it back, it stops.
Yeah.
If you put that down, the lid's at a certain angle, and then you can just put your phone in as a little phone holder, as I've got there. It's good, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
Right. That works.
It does work. And spaghetti lighters. Take a single strand of uncooked spaghetti and light the end, and then you can light when the candle's gone too far down and you try not to burn your fingers with a match.
Yeah.
Just light the end of it's basically like what's it called? A light stick. A fire stick. What's it called?
Taper.
So
Yeah.
just use spaghetti.
Yeah.
There you go.
But don't use a tapir because that's a small animal and you're not allowed to set fire to them.
A tapir. Yeah.
TAPIR. And like
That's a
sort
spaghetti.
of big rodent.
Oh, tape. Sorry. I'm tired. It's very good, Mark. That's hilarious.
So,
would you like to do your
finished?
top tips now?
No, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a couple of Viz ones, but...
That's your phrase. Have you finished?
Can I go now? Let's get on to some interesting stuff. Look
at you with your Viz, honestly. Like a child.
This Morning has got maybe not new, I don't know, a woman on who's called something like the Life Genie.
Right.
And she has got hacks coming out of her bloody ears. She is...
Was that actually her act? She's got things coming out of her ears?
Yes.
Okay. It sounds like black magic again.
Yeah, geez. What I'm going to do for next week, we're going to have a guest spot. We're going to feature the Life Genie.
Just someone else's content. That's normal.
Someone else's content, yeah. But one of the ones she did, and how good's this, right? She got 4 recipe books, hardback recipe books, tied them together with a strong elastic band.
Right.
Put a piece of ribbon round the elastic band because that's the sort of finishing touch that craft type people do.
Yeah.
Guess what she used that for?
I don't know.
Actually, there is a downside to this because you can't use your recipe books.
I don't know. What's the thing she...
She used it as a knife block.
What?
It was brilliant.
Cutting stuff on a... on.
No, as a block.
Oh,
you know,
so
the
she
wooden
put the
block?
knives in the pages.
Yeah. It looked really good.
Not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah.
You might damage the edge of the... She's probably not bothered about the edges of her pages.
I think
I like crisp edges because you're only going to knacker the edges of the pages.
I think there may be books that you wouldn't be using if you're tying them together and shoving knives in
So what
them.
was the downside?
Well, you couldn't read the recipes, could you? Because it was tied together.
No.
So you'd have to use redundant books.
Yeah. Fascinating, Mark.
But she did other ones.
Get on with
that
your
were
viz
good
ones.
as well.
Come on.
These are just thoughts, really, that people have brought up.
That book is massive. Obviously, everyone, if you go and look at us on Instagram, you'll see how big this book is.
So,
Mark actually looks like a child. It's that big.
Less than half a mile from my house, there's a Sainsbury's store. Yet 3 miles away on the other side of town, there's a Sainsbury's local. I'd like the so-called experts to explain that one.
If that was me, there'd be a post-it note to the ones I was going to read out.
Why do laboratories test shampoo in rabbits' eyes? We all know it stings like fuck.
Come on now. You've changed the tone of the whole pod.
God, some of these are just... All right, here we go. These are top tips. I like this. Vickers. I don't know why I get this one. Okay, Vickers. No, fuck off.
No, I'm not. I'm doing it so you haven't got your face in.
Okay. Vickers, employ higher quality builders so you can focus more on spirituality and less on constant roof repairs. I think that's really good.
I was taking a photo.
You
I wasn't
don't.
listening.
Okay.
One more. Come on, hurry up now.
Save money at the supermarket by peeling your bananas before weighing them. This will also mean you have less rubbish to throw away at home, saving you more money in bin liners.
Brilliant. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far and thanks for listening. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at the handle I'mFinecast and send your feedback and ideas to imfinecast@gmail.com. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review if on Apple Podcasts, and do tell a friend or 2 or 3. In the next episode, now I thought, Mark, we'd do some predictions for spring and summer, seeing as most of what we've discussed on here has come true.
Yes.
As well as your 12-minute monologue, as we've already discussed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the one after, can we do retro sweets?
If we must.
Yeah.
If we must.
Please, Dad.
Okay, so we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
See you for now.